Hey, welcome to the virtual campground. I hope you're having an awesome day and I hope you can hear us. Let us know in the chat if you can hear us.
Please do. Hi, everyone. All of 4 or 5 of you right now, but hopefully we get more.
We have had a crazy weekend. We have just gotten back a couple hours ago from Yosemite National Park and had an amazing time. Yeah, good job. I didn't call it Yellowstone.
That's right.
Got to adjust the camera.
Oh, okay. Yes, we were in Yosemite National Park we got there Friday. Yeah.
Yep.
We packed a lot in 4 days, so it feels longer.
Went with our good friends, the Kempers, and we did we did an unusual thing. So our rig is in the valley down in Chowchilla.
Which is really hot right now.
Yeah, it's about 100, I don't know, somewhere around 180 degrees out. And so...
We are on the surface of the sun.
But it's about an hour and 45 minutes or so to Yosemite National Park, to the valley specifically.
Right.
So we decided we were going to rent a VRBO and with our good friends, the Kempers, and go into town, go into the park. So we got this VRBO. The cool thing about it was inside the park.
Yes.
Past the gates.
So once we went through the entrance one time, we didn't have to do it again.
Yeah,
Thank goodness.
That was amazing.
Yes.
That made it so much quicker.
Yeah, so we were in the Wawona area, so there's like a whole little city right there. It had an elementary school and a library and a market, lots of houses, and I guess people live there. Some people live there year round. It looked like a lot of them were rentals.
Yeah.
But it was right near, about a quarter mile from the Wawona Hotel, if you are familiar, and about 6 miles from Mariposa Grove.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah, it was really close. So on that end of it, so it took us about 40 minutes to get to the valley from where we were, but a lot better than an hour and 45 minutes.
And we were pretty close to Glacier Point, which is one of the most amazing places in Yosemite. And
one of your bucket list items.
And then, 45 minutes or so to Tunnel View, which is the iconic view of Yosemite National Park. So all in all, a great location, saved us a ton of time, and was a lot of fun.
So we got to do some really exciting things, like wake up at 3:30 in the morning to go see sunrise. Because when you're a photographer's wife, that's apparently what you do.
That is what you do. You gotta catch the good light.
Yeah, so we got up for sunrise at Glacier Point, and we stayed out until about 11 o'clock at Tunnel View for sunset
11 p.m.
and stars.
Yeah.
Yes, 11 p.m. So it was a very long day.
Very long day.
Thank goodness we took a small nap in between. We went back to the house. Thank God it was close enough to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it did get a little bit warmer while we were in Yosemite. But and that was wonderful to be there because it got a lot hotter here in Chowchilla. So Chowchilla being Central Valley, I just in my brain. For California, I'm from Texas, so California was always like 80 degrees. Clearly not. It's supposed to hit 105.
Yeah. We forgot that we're down in the valley. This is where all the farms are, and
lots of sunshine.
And so it gets warm.
Very warm.
Oh, I forgot to show the VRBO that we stayed at.
There's our this little house we stayed in.
House.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
It was nice. It was very nice. It had a nice porch out there. We could sit when it got cooled off in the evenings. So, and the other reason we picked Chowchilla besides Yosemite was because we wanted to be nearby an airport.
Yep.
And Fresno Airport's about 45 minutes the other direction. And why did we need to go to the airport?
Well, because you went on a vacation.
Well, we went to Colorado first.
Well, that's right. We went to our son's graduation, sort of.
Yes. Our son Jason graduated from Colorado State University.
Yep.
Yay, Rams. And so we, as you can imagine, graduation ceremonies this year are spotty at best. He did not have one. Well, he sort of had one. They walked across the stage in April.
Yeah, about a month ago, yeah.
Before he graduated. So we went to spend some time with him and just take him out to dinner and celebrate his achievement. And then, then Jason and Drew and I went on vacation without you.
Yeah. We went off to Turks and spent a lovely week in Turks, and
so we had a graduation ceremony of our own for Jason, and actually that's my nephew Matthew, and his fiance also graduated, so we also celebrated her as well. So we had our own little graduation ceremony, complete with a what do you call it, commencement address from Matthew McConaughey via YouTube.
That's awesome.
So we wanted to celebrate, and so congratulations again, Jason.
Yes. Congratulations.
Speaking of celebrations,
yes.
Should we celebrate some of our community members
Absolutely.
who have had one?
There's some pretty cool stuff happening out there in the virtual campground.
Yes.
Tell us about it, Deborah.
Well, you can tell us about it too. Well, first thing is it is National Pride Month. For those of you that are celebrating National Pride Month, congratulations. Happy Pride Month. I don't know what the right salutation is. So
Happy Pride Month.
Pride
Sounds
Month.
good to me.
Yes. The Pishnas are celebrating an anniversary this month.
Yes, it is their 3-year nomadiversary. So their 3rd year being on the road full time. So congratulations to the Pishnas.
Pishnas and Living a Stout Life. Yes. We have ours coming up in August.
Yep. We're
to find the exact date.
3/4 years-ish.
More than 3/4 at this point.
Okay, 4/5. How's that?
I don't know. Check his math. And then the Hoppers got a new rig. Oh my gosh, y'all.
Yeah, they went from a really nice large fifth wheel down to a truck camper.
Yes.
It's a really nice truck camper though. So that's quite a change though. They wanted to downsize for a bit, see how it felt, and be a little more nimble, as they say.
Yeah, so they went much smaller.
But it'll be good. It'll
fun.
get them into places that they couldn't get into otherwise, and give them a lot of flexibility, and it'll be good. It'll be a good experiment.
It'll be fun to hear about it. And then Charlie Grace is celebrating 3 months. She got a new adventure van, and she's already put 3,000 miles on it. So, hey, Mark.
Hello, Mark Ellis. They downsized as well. So they had a nice Class C and decided they wanted some more flexibility and went with a really nice van.
Well, the good news is everybody's finding these new campers and vans. We keep hearing that there's shortages, but people seem to be finding things. So that's awesome. Birthdays this month. We have 2 big birthdays.
You're right.
One, Shrek. Happy birthday on the 23rd.
Yep. Happy pre-birthday.
And then you yourself have a birthday on the 25th.
I do, but we don't recognize that. So let's move on.
You don't want to tell everybody how old you're how young
I've
you'll be?
I've lost
you
track.
have no idea, do you?
I'm 56 or 57. I don't know. Who cares? It's just a number.
Not important. Not important. Okay, so, and then just wanted to give y'all a question for you to think about. I'm going to give the answer later. Remind me, because I forgot last month. But the question of the day is, what is the tallest waterfall in the United States?
Oh, I know. It's easy. It's...
Don't say. And if the campers don't get it right, they're in trouble. So, we wanted to give a couple of notes just to say where we're going to be over. We're in Chowchilla, we mentioned, but we're going to leave here on Saturday.
Yeah.
Right, and head north because we have to get out of the
heat.
heat. I got into a rig out of Texas so I could avoid this temperature.
Oops. Yeah. So, but the next 6 months are going to be a whirlwind. I mean, this was our longest stay here, right? We were here a month.
Yeah.
Or one of our longest days, our second or whatever.
Yeah.
But after that, we are moving quickly and often.
Yeah. Well, for the next couple months we are, and then we kind of slow down a little bit. But at any rate, from here we're going to go up towards Crater Lake. That's a real quick one, and then we're going to go to Olympic National I keep
Park.
getting that wrong.
Out near the Ellises.
Olympic, yes. So we're going to go to the park and spend some time. And then, hey, FYI, we're going to boondock at your house, Ellis's. Moochdock, I guess that's calling. Well, we don't have to do that, but we do want to stop and see you. And then we're heading into Montana. We'll be in Big Fork, Montana, right before the 4th of July. We'll be there actually over 4th of July weekend. And staying up near Glacier National Park, we hope, the week after.
Hope we can boondock up there a little closer to Glacier.
And then we're going to head towards the Montana entrance of Yellowstone.
Yes. yes. Because I have some photography workshops down in Texas, so we wanted to get closer to Bozeman so I could fly to my photography workshops and give you a chance to go explore a different side of Yellowstone.
We spent a lot of time in Yellowstone last year, but it's such a massive, big park that we never made it all the way north. So this will give me a chance to see some of that. Yeah, that'll be
that
fun.
Mammoth Hot Springs, that little town is nice, and that huge area, I forgot what it's called, but the huge area north there where all the buffalo roam.
The deer and the antelope play.
Right.
So that is the plan, and then of course, and then after that we're a little bit fuzzy until September when we're in the Ouray, Colorado area.
Yeah, we got a little fuzziness until we get down to Ouray. We got to figure out Colorado.
Yes.
Most of that's going to be in Colorado, I would think. And Mark, you asked the question, above sea level or largest drop? So waterfalls are almost always measured just in largest drop. So largest drop is what we're talking about.
Yes, largest drop. So let's see. So then, as everybody hopefully knows by now, we'll be in Ouray in late September, early October for Camp Carpe Diem. We're getting there early. We're going to stay in that area a couple weeks before Camp Carpe Diem, and then of course be there for Camp Carpe Diem and a little bit of boondocking afterwards. For those of you that coming to Camp Carpe Diem, if you want to boondock with us afterwards, we're hoping to find a good spot, and that way we can show people how to boondock for those that are a little bit nervous about doing it the first time by themselves, or just to hang out and boondock with us. So we hope folks will be joining us. We're getting excited about Camp Carpe Diem. We've been finalizing a schedule and adding some neat features, so exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Yes. All right. Oh, and then in September, that's October, and then we leave Ouray to go to Arkansas. And be at Lake Dardanelle State Park because you have a workshop there.
Yeah, we have a workshop right there up in the mountains.
And then in November, we'll be in Lake Caddo.
We'll be Caddo Lake. Yeah, Caddo Lake, and hopefully we'll be staying at Caddo Lake State Park. But anyway, anywhere around Caddo is really cool. If you've never been to Caddo Lake State Park, it is really cool, interesting, one-of-a-kind place. So
that's where we're going to be. If anybody wants to join us on any of that, please let us know. If you'll be in the area and we can come out and say hi and meet you, we would love it.
Yeah, let us know.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, I do have a few little tidbits of news.
Tidbits. I love tidbits.
Tidbits.
Okay. All right. We don't have the news sounder. We don't have anything. So you're flying on your own on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what happens when you come back from a trip
right,
hours before the show. Any rate, since we've been talking about national parks a lot, we talked about them last month a little bit as well. For those of you that didn't see it last month, go back and watch our show last month, because I think we had some really great tips on visiting your journey in general, not specifically national parks, but we did have a couple of things that we talked about with the parks. One of them being that a lot of the parks this year, because everybody's expecting huge crowds post COVID, people wanting to get out now that they can start getting out, that they've started a lot of reservation systems in the national park. So I wanted to just give you all a rundown of there's about 6 that definitely have reservations. So you definitely want to check before you go. Arcadia National Park, up where we've been to in Maine, you do need a reservation there, really only for the drive up to Cadillac Mountain, which is the first place in the United States to see the sunrise, for those of you that might not know that. So you do need that. And
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's it's probably good that they're doing reservations, because it's a madhouse up there.
Yeah. And then Glacier National Park, you need a reservation if you want to go on the Going to the Sun Road. So you need a reservation for that road. You can get into the rest of the park fine, but for that. And then also there's certain entrances that you almost have to, because I guess you're getting on Going to the Sun Road. So double check that. There's a national park in Hawaii that I'm going to massacre how to say this, but Halakala?
No, you nailed it.
Nailed it, yeah. So it's on Maui. It also requires reservation. It also has, I think it's sunrise. Sunrise at 10,000
people would
feet.
go. Yeah, the reservations are valid 3 a.m.
Yes, 3 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Whatever. So for people that want to go up and catch the sunrise, and then you're guaranteed a spot at one of the sunrise locations.
Yes.
That was
a parking spot. Yes.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And Rocky National Park has 2 different reservations depending on which way you want to go. Yeah, they have one for the Bear Lake corridor, and then they have one to other areas. of the park.
I
So
did not know
you
that.
have to sign up for, like, I think it's 3-hour slots that you're going in at certain times, because that's a very popular one. And then, of course, we were in Yosemite, and you needed a reservation to get in there if you didn't have a lodging reservation. And their reservations, you book it, and it's good for 3 days entry. And they had it pretty restricted, but California is starting to peel back their restrictions. They've gone from orange to yellow, I think, now. So they've added like 600 more a day. So a little bit easier. And then I did learn today that Zion National Park, which we talked about before, needing a reservation for the shuttle, no longer needs a reservation on the shuttle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that said,
that's almost a bad thing,
Yeah, it
because the lines are
Crazy.
stupid. Yeah, if you're going to do Zion,
and it's going to be hot.
Yeah, just get there.
Get there
the
at
first
6 a.m.
shuttle. Yeah,
I think the first shuttle's at 7. Get there at 6.
Get there early.
Yeah. So yes, they're not. They require you to wear masks still, but they will have really long lines because they already had long lines. What did you hear the other day about Angel's Landing?
Angel's Landing had a 4-hour wait. 4-hour wait. They were monitoring people going up and it was a 4-hour wait to get up.
Because it's a long hike.
Yeah, it's a long hike, and so that's.
And a brutal hike. So I think standing for 4 hours before you even get in the hike, it would be you'd be out of your water.
Yeah, that's a non-starter for me.
Yeah.
It took me forever to do that hike, and then if I had to stand there, it would have been.
You'd have been out of food and water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it would be crazy. So yeah, that I mean, in the same thing when Yosemite, we heard yesterday there was a 2.5-hour wait just to get in. When we left today at about 11 a.m., yeah, there was a really long line.
Huge line.
And then there are also a lot of the services in the national parks are not being they're
restricted at least,
Yes.
or not there.
Yeah. So like we went to Mariposa Grove, and normally you park at the Welcome Center, and there's a tram that takes you up to the parking lot. Well, the tram's not running, so you had to do a 2-mile hike just to get to the Grove, and then the 2-mile or the 6-mile, whatever you were going to do, hike within
They had
to see
several
the
hikes
trees.
within, but you're already 2 miles into your hike, and plus you got to go 2 miles back.
2 miles back. So, and then the other part of Mariposa in particular, and this was interesting because we saw this throughout Yosemite, but really badly in Mariposa. Apparently, there was a bad storm in January, winds that we saw houses that had been crushed by trees.
Mono winds,
And-
or whatever that is. I don't know.
And then on top of that, they got 3 to 6 feet of snow.
Yeah.
So in Mariposa Grove, a tree came down on one of the restrooms was, right?
Yep.
And then what do they call it? The big loop.
Interpretive trail.
Yeah, the smaller trail right at the entrance there of the Grove was closed, the majority of it, because there were trees down everywhere. And what I read was, because I was trying to figure out why all these national parks are having, because the visitor centers aren't open, some of the food and concessions are not open. And what I read was because last year the visitation was so down, they don't have as much money.
Oh, really?
So their budget, right, is hurt. So they had to pick and choose what they could open this year and what they could afford. And I mean, you could definitely tell there were less people, not volunteers, workers.
Yeah.
So if it was a private concessionaire, it was probably open. But if it was run by the National Park Service, it was probably not open.
Well, like even we went and had a beautiful lunch at the Iwani Lodge, which is called something else now.
It's now called the Majestic Yosemite Lodge.
Yeah. So had a great lunch there, but they were very restricted. They had 2 people taking orders, and then you went and sat at the table, and then they called your name, and you went up and got your food, sat back down at your table. So no waiters and
And everything came,
people, but everything was packaged.
Like to go.
So everything packaged to go. So you were just throwing that away. So they were really keeping the personnel down.
Yes, they were. I mean, and part of it's, of course, for restrictions, safety precautions, and some of it is just they don't have that. But I think that the budget cuts really have hurt them.
Yeah.
So, but Mark points out a good thing. If you do get there before probably 6:30, a lot of times you don't have to worry about having a reservation because the park's open.
Yep.
That doesn't count at Zion because you can't get on that road.
Yeah, they've got a gate over it.
You still have to take the shuttle.
But here's my latest kick: Zion and Yosemite are great bicycle parks. So if you have a bicycle, electric or whatever, those are fantastic parks to take a bike on.
Yes, absolutely. Or like I said last time, in Zion, rent an electric bike. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And they're right outside the park, so it's really easy to get in. Another news about national parks in the Grand Canyon. This is interesting. I shouldn't laugh, I guess, but there's a dangerous animal that is injuring people. 30 people have recently been sent to the hospital. Would you like to guess what the animal is?
Sasquatch.
No, it's not Sasquatch. Right? No.
It's a big bunny rabbit with big teeth.
Close. So very close.
Okay.
It's a squirrel.
Squirrel?
Yes.
One singular squirrel is
No,
injuring people?
it's squirrels in general.
Okay.
I guess people are trying to feed them, and they're getting their fingers bitten.
Yeah,
Off.
serves them right.
Finger,
Oh, off. Wow.
well, not off, but they're getting chewed on for
Wow.
sure, and they've had to go to the hospital. So, so don't feed the animals in the
don't
parks. It's a very bad idea.
When I just to bring this up yet again, I think this would be the fourth time I brought up when I hiked the Angels Landing Trail. When you got to the top, or near the top, that was a popular place to sit and eat. And what are those?
Chipmunks.
The chipmunks were
They're
very aggressive.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
they
saw
were-
that when we were in Grand Tetons as
They
well.
were perfectly fine, just coming up
right
to
up.
your bag and trying to dig for whatever they could.
Well, the one in the Grand Tetons when we were up there at Inspiration Point, it was almost like they were begging. I mean,
Yeah.
they would come up and stand on their rear legs, and then people, of course, would feed them
Yeah.
that. And then they did bite a little girl because they fell. Actually, that one had fallen and got scared, I think. But
Stop feeding the chipmunks.
stop feeding animals.
Not that anybody in the virtual camp.
No, we all know better. Also, June 5th is National Trails Day, so a good day to plan a hike.
No.
Wherein it's cooler. So find a great hike in a national park if you want to, or just someplace else. So there. So that's my big news on national parks. I did want to give an update on Campground Views. We talked about Campground Views last month, and they have announced that they're really close to pushing out technology for about 75 campgrounds, so people can see it and test it.
That's
so,
the 360.
yeah, that's the one
thing?
where they go in and they 360
That's a
and
really
tell you
cool
whether
thing.
the reservation is open or not. So they plan in the next 2 weeks to roll it out, so more people can check it out.
Yeah.
So if you haven't gone to look at their site, I think we mentioned you can become a member. We have a affiliate link I'm happy to share with you. The memberships are a little high, but I think in general this is going to be really cool. And when it gets multiple campgrounds on it, it's going to be, especially in this day and age, I don't know how many of you guys are having problems, but we certainly have been in booking reservations because we keep changing our minds where we're going.
Yeah.
So it's getting a little harder to get those last minute.
We haven't planned
things.
a whole lot in advance, but the conversation leads to people are reserving campgrounds, and whether or not they're going to go. They're thinking, well, we'll go and let's go ahead and reserve it and and then they're canceling or not canceling,
just not showing
because
up.
the penalties are so small, and that leads to the conversation that we had where the folks over at to say their name, Drivin' and Vibin', they talked about a couple of new apps or software providers that are helping people find openings at campgrounds that have reservation systems. So maybe that's something we should talk about at one point, is because we were exploring it. So
we're going to test it out for you, and we'll let you know how well it works. But the idea is that they troll the reservation, see where there's cancellations at the last minute, and hopefully then you can make a plan to go.
So shout out to Jennifer Kemper who told us about that.
Did anybody get the answer to my question? What is the tallest waterfall?
We had a guess up here.
We go now. Good. The Kempers got
We
it.
go now. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Good job, Shreg. Yes, it is. Yosemite Falls at 2,425 feet. It's one of the tallest on the planet. It's the 5th tallest in the world. And actually, Yosemite has 3 of the top 10 tallest
Go USA.
falls in the world.
Yeah, it's an amazing place.
So I have a new question for you. Who was the one that said the famous quote that we all so many times use, "The mountains are calling and I must go"?
Oh, it was the pillow manufacturer. It was
Don't talk about him.
no, not him.
Oh.
It was an old one. Samsonite.
Wasn't they make pillows with it on it, but that doesn't mean that they said it. No, a very famous person said it.
Oh, okay.
Famous person.
Okay.
So y'all Tell me who that is. Okay, so we wanted to. Bart
Bart
Simpson is not the correct answer.
Good
He
guess,
might have
though.
said it actually.
Good
I
guess.
don't know, but
Good
I
guess.
want to know who originally said it. So, okay, so today we thought we would talk a little bit about, since we've been talking so much about travel, and this is the season everybody starts traveling, we wanted to talk about photography.
Oh, we did?
We did.
Oh, okay.
I thought I'd shared that with you. So we wanted to talk about photography and get some tips on how to take better pictures. For those of us that are not professional, Mark and Barry and Jennifer, for those of us that are not professionals, how can we take better photographs of our trips? I mean, we're going on these wonderful trips, visiting these amazing places like Yosemite. And then I come away with, well, I don't come away because I have him, but I mean, then you get, pictures that are just,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so it's really so there's to better define taking better photos. It's really about how to find those photo spots, and then to dive one level deeper is when is the best time to go to those photo spots. So that's really when we're going to a new place that I start looking at, what are those iconic images that I'd like to copy and put my own spin on. And then where else could I go within that park to capture something that I think is cool that maybe other people haven't done as much or whatever.
right. So one of them is the iconic. So that there are certain pictures everybody just knows and expects and tries to go, like Tunnel View that we went to.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
the
iconic Yosemite picture. And the really cool thing is, depending on when you go, morning, evening, daytime, storm, clear. I mean, you're going to get a different picture almost every time.
Yeah.
So you could literally be there 3 days in a row and
Yeah.
have different pictures.
And there are times where if you go to, that's a great example, if you go there first thing in the morning to catch a sunrise, it could be good, but that's not what usually people think about when they think about Tunnel View. That's usually an late afternoon / sunset location. So that's one of those examples where doing a little bit of research up front, you can be in the right place at the right time to get a better photo than you would have otherwise.
So how do I know when's the best time to be in a spot?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
I'm so glad you're glad I asked.
Yeah. So we go now. I think it's using Google.
No Google, but yes, you are correct. John Muir said that famous line, and yes, I have a great respect for him after visiting Yosemite. It's
What
amazing.
did we read? Yeah, a coat who
Well,
had
not,
walked miles
not only Yosemite, but when we were in Sequoia, we actually heard a lot about him as well. He had walked
from
all
San
those
Francisco.
trails. Did he all the way to?
Yeah, all the way to Yosemite.
And then across it.
And then walked all over Yosemite.
And with like an apple and a piece of cheese in his pocket.
And would talk to rocks and trees.
Yeah, he did talk to rocks and trees. He might have been on it.
He might have a little bit.
But
Okay, so let's talk about the tools I use. So there are a number of things when we are going someplace that I start looking at to start thinking about what do I want to photograph and how and when do I want to photograph it. So one of those tools is a tool called 500px. And Mark, Jennifer, and anybody else that has any ideas, hey, meant to be RVing, glad to have you here.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. So Mark, Jennifer, or anybody else, that if you have any other ideas about tools that you use to do your research, then put them in the comments. But one of the tools that I go to is a tool called Sorry, we were muted there for a minute. So, other photographers, exactly, Mark. And that's really what 500px is. All the other, a lot of the photographers will post here, and then they'll write up a brief description. Sometimes they'll say where it is, but they'll also give you specs on what lens they use. Sometimes what kind of camera they used. So some details about that particular spot. So that's one tool that I use, and then you can go through and you can see if you see a shot that you like, then go research more about it, and that's my first step, is just to get a general sense of what's out there on 500px. Actually, that's not true. That's my second step. My first step is to just do a simple Google search. So I would do something like Yosemite best photos, Yosemite best sunset photos, Yosemite best sunrise photos. secrets of Yosemite photos. I mean, I would just Google several different things and try to come up with some different spots that I thought were interesting. And then the other thing that I use, and I don't use this nearly as much as I should, is some location scout, and it's originated as a place for people to scout out locations for video, but has some really great information. So if I search for Yosemite, then I can look and see there are several different tags that pull up with that. I look for the one that has the most to start with, obviously. So that one has 35 different spots. So then I go take a look and see what I think about them. I can pick one of these, and then I can learn more about it. So once you get into some of the detail, then let's see, let's find one here that is a little different. Okay, so there's the three brothers. I think that's a really cool shot. I've done that one a few times. So let's click on that, and it will give you some detail about that shot, like any tips? Is it good in the morning, afternoon, evening? And it'll tell you a little bit about how typically crowded it is. There's a map down there that shows you where you're standing relative to the mountain. What time was that photo taken? One of the critical elements is right here, the GPS coordinates, and that comes into play in a minute when I show you the Google map that I use. So Location Scout is a really cool tool that I use to find locations.
Cool.
So let's go to, all right, so now those are, so basic Google searches, then 500px, and then Location Scout.
So you're basically you're doing some research before you're going to go someplace where it's on your list of places you really want to photograph, and so you're going to do some research and say, okay, well, what are the best places and times? Okay.
Yeah, and then once you get a sense of that, then I'm gonna skip the two more complicated ones. I'm gonna go to Google Maps. So let's click on this.
So really, one of the key ways to get great photos, I'm hearing, is you just have to do some planning.
Oh yeah, you have to absolutely have to do some planning, and then you remember those GPS coordinates. So when I see somebody has posted something that's really cool or said this is a great shot, it's a morning shot or whatever, I go and search for it in Google Maps, and then I either create a map, or I'm starting to use, like here I've got a bunch of different maps I've created that have the photo locations that I want to do, or I've been doing more lately. I've been doing the saved locations. So you can go into Google, you can save a location. Here I have the Yosemite to see and shoot. Of course, the first one's a coffee shop in Mariposa, but here you can see the all the different places that I found that I say, okay, I want to go there and I want to try to shoot those locations. And then I can also put notes in there, or cut and paste notes from where people have said, hey, that's really cool, you should go here in the morning, whatever. And then I can sort of plan my day. Okay, if I know I have 3 sort of morning locations where the sun's in the right spot, then I know where those are and how to hit those. And then, in the middle of the day, you're really getting into snapshot season, from 10 o'clock to, snapshot time from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock or whatever. And then where am I going to be for the afternoon light?
So that's one of the things. So it is really good to get out really early for those sunrise, even if you don't want to do sunrise, just because that light's going to be a lot lighter, nicer.
It's lower on the horizon, and it gives you more shadows, so you get more depth in the photograph.
Okay, and so until about what time is good morning light?
Oh, it depends. It's roughly when the sun gets around 30 degrees rather, after sunrise, above the horizon. 30 degrees on either side, so is your best shooting times.
Okay. The other great thing about getting out early for a sunrise, or really close to the sunrise, of course, there's also less people.
Yeah,
you're gonna
huge thing. Yeah.
You're gonna get a better shot because there's not gonna be as many people in your shot,
right.
And then you kind of get the place yourself. We were up at Glacier Point. When we got there was just one other couple already there.
Yep.
And then probably for the first hour and a half, we only had maybe 2 other people join us. It was really, I mean, everybody started showing up about 9 o'clock. So we had this whole place basically to ourselves. You know, you're in this amazing, beautiful spot.
It's peaceful, it's quiet, and you can move around. You don't get people in your way. It's just so much better.
Now, sunset might not always be the same. Like we were at Tunnel View, it was crazy. But the thing about there was it was really easy to get to a good spot and kind of stake it out because people were just coming and going. They're just coming for a quick snapshot and they're moving on. Right. So that worked out pretty well.
And that's where your research also comes into place. Like Tunnel View is a great example. It's a great sunset location. Everybody in the world knows about it. And so you're going to be tons of people. So one of the things that you can do in your research is what are the alternatives that give you a similar view. So at Tunnel View specifically, there's a spot out behind Tunnel View, just up, it's a short 20-yard hike that gets you completely out of the fray and overlooks that whole crowd, and it's great. And you can hang out there without people.
Yes.
And then there's a small hike over on the other parking
Inspiration
lot, Inspiration Point, and
Artist Point.
Gives you a slightly different view, but very few people take the time to go out there.
Yeah. So we were in Tunnel View and setting up, and we went. There's some recycling bins and trash. Go right behind that and up 20-30 yards, and we sat there on the rock for a while, and nobody was there. It was so peaceful, you couldn't hear anybody or see any of the cars. It was really nice up there. I was up there by myself for a while, and it was really great.
Word of caution on that, though, it is
not for the people that don't like hikes.
It's a very steep drop off, so it is a fairly dangerous place to go. So
be careful. I think Inspiration Point or Artist Point,
they're
probably a little bit
just regular hikes,
more steep at first, but certainly much safer for that one in particular. But and then the other thing about staying late was, of course, the later it stayed, sunset might be rough, but the later you're out there, a lot of times you might have the trail to yourself again. I mean, we were at Mariposa. We didn't get there until I think 4:30. We started the hike, and got up there. And by the time we got to the Grove, we essentially had the Mariposa Grove to ourselves. Yeah. Which, how often does that happen? And got to walk up to the California Tunnel Tree and the Grizzly Giant, and there was nobody else but the 4 of us. So it was, so that's another reason to stay a little bit later. And again, in the evening, the light, that golden hour, it's the 90 minutes, 60 minutes before sun sets?
Yeah, somewhere in that time frame, just, around 30 degrees, when that sun gets around 30 degrees above the horizon, you're getting beautiful shadows, nice, soft, warm light. That's the time to catch your best photos.
Just remember to take a flashlight if you're staying late, so you can get back, because not a lot of lights, thank goodness, because you don't want the light pollution. But so that was good.
So the other 2 tools are really more advanced tools, and I'll play a short video of them just because they're really cool tools. If you want to go to that next level and you want to do some more intense planning, what I use these tools for. I've been playing around with both of them. They both essentially do the same thing, but they are the type of tools that will tell you if you wanted to photograph this particular subject. Let's take Tunnel View and Half Dome, for example, in Yosemite. Where will the sun be at a particular time? Where will the moon be at a particular time? And I use it quite often for moon photos because I want to know. I want to pick a foreground element, and I want to know when the moon will be rising or setting near that foreground element, like a cool tree or a barn or something, so I can get both those in the shot. So one of them's called Photo Pills, so I'll play a little video of that. So this is just a really quick sped up version of it. But anyway, you go look at the site. You can do virtual reality to see when's that sun going to hit that particular spot. And the app will let you look at, if I want that sun to be at that particular spot at that particular time, what date will that happen? And then, let's see, so he's going to move this. I want the sun to be coming right through that hole at sunset. When the sun hits horizon, that's going to happen on that particular day. So now he knows I need to go back to that particular location on that particular day. Here he's going to share it with his buddy, and this is great. His buddy's shocked, so gets it on his phone, Says, what could this be? And he looks at it and says, oh, look, he's planned a session. The sun's going to be, oh, that's awesome. I'm going back to my paper. So, so on the day of the shoot, everybody's checking it out. There's the hole. I don't know what he's doing. Hold on, I'm going to fall. There it is. And then get set up, and then the magic happens. The sun comes right through that hole. So that's an example of a tool that is more advanced and more complicated, but really, really cool to use to plan an intense sort of fun shot.
Now, so the sun's always going to rise in the exact same place.
It's gonna, no, that's not correct.
No,
the sun, the Earth is rotating, and yeah, so the sun is not always in the right place.
So it's not like once you figure out it's coming through that hole at this time, the next day you can come back and might be in a slightly different. The same with the moon.
Yeah.
The moon in particular, you have to really watch times because it can be rising at
that moon is a tricky sucker. Yeah. Mark just posted. Yeah. So Mark and I went out and photographed. It was during a new moon, dark as could be. We drove about, I don't know what it was, Mark, 45 minutes or an hour out to a lake, and it was cold. But we knew, because we had looked at an apple like this, that that we knew that Milky Way was going to be above that lake, and it was going to be great.
Yeah.
It worked out perfectly.
Right. But Milky Way is a great example, again, from a timing perspective. You don't need an app for this, but that during a full moon, you're not going to get a Milky Way shot. It's only certain times of the year, really, that are good shots. Has to be a new moon when it's dark sky. Yeah. Because even when we were at Tunnel View, we were trying to take pictures. You were trying to capture a little bit of the Milky Way, but you had about an hour where the sun wasn't down, enough,
sun went down,
but the moon hadn't come up enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and that's really where these apps come into play, is that that you can see, okay, well, the Milky Way may be up, but the moon, okay, I've got a chance because the moon is not going to be up for another 3 hours, so that'll give me a chance to get shots of the Milky Way before the moon.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So those are things that can help us find the location and then kind of figure out where the sun and the moon are going to be, because it's really important, the sun especially. So, but for folks like me, or just normal, not getting up at crack of dawn to go out and take a picture, I might be in the meadow of Yosemite at noon or 1 o'clock when the sun is over the 30%. How can I get a better picture?
Well, everyone has to define what better picture means. There's really, there are times when we're being tourists that you're just going to grab that snapshot regardless. You may be there at the wrong time, but you're going to get the shot.
It's the only time you're going to be there. So.
And, it could be a scouting location where you say, okay, now I see what I have here. I'm going to come back. Now I can see where the sun's going to set. Now I'm going to come back at the right time to do this. But otherwise, you just grab the shot. An example of taking advantage of opportunities when you're there at the wrong time would be like what we did at Yosemite Falls. So we got there way too late. Sun is all over the water. It's just partially because part of it was in the shadow, part was in the sun, people all over the place. It was just, it was not good from a pure landscape photography perspective. So I concentrated on little boulders that were in the water, where all the different cascades of water. I used a neutral density filter. I focused on those small details, and I was able to get nice silky water flow without people in them, and so you just look for different things to shoot.
Right, so you might not necessarily get that big huge waterfall picture, but you get something that for you reminds you of that time you spent in the waterfall.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you probably get that. Like, I got some shots of the waterfall because it's a snapshot, and I want to remember that I was here.
Right.
But it won't be a landscape that we put up in our gallery and sell.
Yes. So
when we have our gallery.
When we have a gallery. So, but if I'm there and I want to take a snapshot, is there something that I can do to make sure it's the best snapshot I can take? I mean,
well, now you're getting into composition rules and all that, and we can address those on another day. It really just comes down to composition from that point.
And that's getting closer and filling your frame.
Yeah, filling frame, get the rule of thirds and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. But as far as like the sun goes, Is it better for my subjects to be looking into the sun, or for me to be looking into the sun?
Well, the rule just generally is, if the sun's at your back, then your subject is going to be lit better, and that's, But
generally,
you go to a place like Yosemite, it is what it is. If you're there for one day, you're going to photograph what you can and follow the composition rules and do the best you can.
Right. But a good piece of advice is to look around and definitely take the snapshot of the waterfall, which is going to be littered with people because there were people on all the rocks. There's no way you were not going to get a picture with people in it. But then maybe look around and see if there's something that captures your attention that you can take.
Mm-hmm. Like the little rocks that had the water going over them. Yeah.
Which that was more in shadow, so you were able to capture it with light and shadow.
Yeah.
That adds depth, because that's what I've learned as the photographer's wife. Okay, so and then the other thing, people, the other tool that that you have, that I use, that you've taught me to use, is to help me after I've taken the picture, is Snapseed. So that's a good app that just can help with just making it a little more saturated, take out a little bit of the
crop it a little bit.
Cropping is probably my number one tool that I use to have a better picture, because I'm never close enough. So that way it makes it fill the frame more.
So Snapseed is an app. I believe it's for iPhone and for Google phones or Android. It's owned by Google, and it's just a really easy app to make those changes to, enhancements. And so I use it quite often. And you put a nice cool little frame around it, and then post it to Instagram or whatever.
Yep. Yes. All right. Anything else that we should hit on?
No, I think those are the basics. As far as just researching spots, that's really all I wanted to cover.
Yeah. The net of it is, you can take great snapshots, but if you really want to get a great landscape picture, you do need to do some research, and you need to plan your day. A lot of times, while you might only have one day in Yosemite, you have one day, and you can make yourself be in certain places at the right time.
Exactly. If you wanted to get that really cool shot of Three Brothers, which I showed here on 500px or whatever, if you want to get that really cool shot of something within Yosemite Valley, know where the sun's going to be at that particular time, and then go there then.
Prioritize it. Yep, manage your day, and go early and stay late, and take a nap in between in the heat of the day.
That's right.
Like we did.
Johnny, I'm not sure what is a quartering sun. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. So
more information.
So I'm not sure if it's okay. I've never heard of a quartering sun.
Yes, and you do need to manage your expectations. You're not going to take the Ansel Adams picture. He took it years ago when there was not nearly as many people there.
Some of the stories we heard, there was a lady near our VRBO that lived in one of those houses in that little Lawona, and she was selling prints outside the little grocery store there. So I had a little conversation with her, and she had this beautiful photo of Horsetail Falls when it was lit by the sun, and it happens just for like 1 week in February or something like that. So now hundreds of photographers show up, and it's elbow to elbow, and it's really, just tough to get that shot. But she said there was no one there. She did it 20 years ago, not a single soul around, nobody knew about it, and you just don't see that these days.
Well, and also nowadays it's also social media, because now when that phenomena happens, it goes out on social media, so people just descend on it. Whereas 20 years ago, there wasn't even a web page for her to post and say. So that has a lot to do with it as well.
All right, so Johnny, no, that's a really good point. So sun at your back means that whatever your subject is, whatever you're photographing is going to be flat lit by the sun, depending on where the sun is in the sky. Having the sun off to the side, 90 degrees or 45 degrees or whatever, does help create dimension. Like when we were out at that Cathedral Beach day or two yesterday or day before, we were right under El Capitan, and the sun was probably off 90 degrees or whatever, but it gave great depth to it because it created shadows on that on parts of El Cap that helped create that dimension. So so having the sun off at 90 degrees is fantastic for most subjects.
Yep. Okay. So do you have another question? You got the one about John Muir. So now, what is the smallest national park?
Oh, I know this one. Yeah, I won't say it, but I know it.
Okay. What is the smallest national park? And if you have any other questions about photography, please type them in there. We would love to have Barry answer them for you. And if you're watching this afterwards, you can comment in the comment section, and we watch that so Barry can answer your questions there and help you out. He is a very good teacher of photography, which is why he has workshops, but also he just enjoys photography. I will say, having worked in several different industries in my lifetime that are extremely competitive, photographers are really awesome. From a perspective of y'all are good about sharing things and just telling people things, and I think that's lovely.
Yeah.
Especially in these days when everybody thinks they're a professional photographer.
Mark wants to know if I'm using an R5. No, I'm using. I'm still Sony all the way, baby. No need to do R5.
No, it is not the Tomb of the Unknown Shoulder. That is probably that's not even the smallest monument. But what I'm asking specifically is it's a national park. So there's lots of destinations under the National Park Services. There's parks, monuments, historic sites, forests. There's multiple things, yes. But I'm specifically asking what is the smallest national park. And this one is for Greg Kemper. Which states have the most national parks? There's 2.
Okay, so we're smallest, and which state or states has
the most?
The most. Okay.
They tie. There's 2 states that tie with the same number.
All right. While we're waiting for those answers,
yes.
Everyone hit the thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. We'll give you every thumbs up we get. You get awarded 100 internet points.
Woohoo! And one day we'll have something you can turn those 100 points in for.
Well, probably not. Let's not oversell that.
Okay.
Okay. So what else? So we talked about photography. Really, that's it, right?
Yeah. Just nope. Not Utah. Not Utah. You
Not
got
Utah.
one. California
got
is one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Think big. Think big.
Let's see what we wanted to mention. That next, not Colorado. Nope. The next live is July 6th. So right after the 4th of July weekend, and we'll be in Montana.
Yeah.
So we'll be coming to you live, we hope.
We'll be in Big Fork.
Yeah. Big Fork. Yes, and so definitely how you can help us these days, you can hit that thumb that you're saying. You can also use our Amazon link for maybe 1 out of every 3 times you buy something from Amazon. We know you're buying from Amazon already.
Right.
So if you will use one of our links for Amazon, that would help us tremendously.
Yep.
I mean, we get a little bit of money. It's not gonna buy that much. It's not gonna buy a full tank of gas, but it'll help. So yes, a million internet points and $4 will get you, but not at Starbucks.
Not at Starbucks. Well, good job playing.
There you go, Johnny. You got it. California and Alaska. That's right. And then the smallest, nobody's gotten that. That is smallest national park is Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas. It's at 5,500 acres.
We've walked by there, but we really haven't done that park.
No, we've been near it, not so much. Hi, Whitney.
Hi, Whitney.
And it was the first federally protected piece of land, actually, Hot Springs. But yes, and then here's an interesting one. So California and Alaska definitely are the 2 that tie for the most national parks. They have 8.
Wow.
Including one of the newer ones, Pinnacles, here in California. But what is the state that doesn't have a national park? There is one state that has no national park. It doesn't even have a national monument or, I think, a national site.
Louisiana.
No, Louisiana does. I don't know what it is, but it does. I guess something down the Cajun, the swamps or something. Yeah, there's only one state that does not have a national park.
Arkansas.
We just said Arkansas has the smallest one.
I wasn't listening.
I know, you never do. Okay, anything else that we want to share with you folks?
No, I just
Camp Carpe Diem?
That's it. Camp Carpe Diem. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but I hope you're considering coming. We've got some great folks coming, and we're going to have a fun time October 7th through the 10th, 2021 in Ouray, Colorado. Go to campcarpediem.com for more information.
You know, Tina, I would have said Rhode Island as well because it's so small, but it is not it. So now I'm very curious to find out what Rhode Island has in it. But it is not Rhode Island. It is. You're very close, though. I will give you a hint. It is the first state And Johnny, we have been to Arkansas. We haven't even been to Hot Springs. We just haven't really explored it as a national park. But and we'll be back in Arkansas in October. So if you're going to be in Arkansas, let us know.
Yeah, we did the Clinton Presidential Library there. We got there 5 minutes before they closed.
Yeah, 10 minutes. So we probably should go back and give that a little bit more than 10 minutes. Yeah, it was a really pretty library.
Yeah.
Okay, first state in the union, Delaware. There you go. That's it. And that is the only one without a national park, Delaware.
Oh, that's amazing.
And the largest, just to give you this, the largest national park, I don't even know if I could say it, is Wrangell St. Elias National Park and Preserve in Alaska. It is the same size as Yosemite, Yellowstone, and the country of Switzerland combined.
Wow.
And I think it's one of the least visited. So, anyway.
Is that the one that
I don't know. I think it was the one that the Johnsons visited.
Yeah,
I mean, they definitely.
I
think that you had to fly into it. Maybe I don't know. I have to find out more because right now in 101 degrees, that park sounds really nice to me.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
So for a closing, just to tell you a little bit about it. So I posted on our YouTube channel a few days back a somewhat detailed overview of my hike up the Mist Trail. So it's it's probably the most popular hike in Yosemite.
Not for the faint of heart.
No, it was pretty difficult. So anyway, there is a more detailed overview of my thoughts on that hike and a timeline specifically of when I started and different points along the hike. So that's out on our YouTube channel. So this is a smaller version of that, just to show some of the photos and videos that I captured during that hike. So this is Mist Trail to Vernal Fall to Nevada Fall, and then taking part of the John Muir Trail back down.
John Muir Trail being like 100 and something miles. You didn't do that.
I didn't do that part. No.
And you did some research and knew when to be there.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I knew. Yeah.
And when we were at Glacier Point for sunrise, we could see those falls. It was amazing. Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
We'll get those pictures up soon, so y'all will be able to see some of the pictures from
sometime
sunrise.
Within the next couple of years.
Yeah, as sooner than the next couple of years. Maybe even sooner than the next couple of months. Who knows?
All right. Any closing thoughts?
Nope. Just thank y'all so much for coming.
Thanks for being
and thank
here.
you for the new folks that joined us. We hope give us some feedback. Let us know what you thought. And we'll be back next month. And hopefully we will get on live on Facebook at some point this month and start working our ways to having a few more of these live at virtual campgrounds. We miss you guys. Once a month isn't enough.
And until we get to meet you again in person, we hope to see you in the virtual campground.
Yep. Enjoy the outro.